This is Marvin. Who are you?
I'm Marvin Rees. Fantastic to see you all here today. Absolutely incredible.
So I'm the warm-up for the warm-up. Marvin's actually the warm-up. And the main act is getting closer. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you. And I want you to give yourselves a massive cheer of appreciation for how hard you're working to get a Labour government on Friday. And hang on, there's got to be another cheer yet. How much do we want a Labour government? Show us! And how much do we need a Labour government? And in Bristol, we know we need a Labour government. Oh God, we need a Labour government. We need one because our schools need one. We need one because the hospitals need one. We need one because too many of you are living in accommodation that's not okay. It's expensive. It's too much. It's gone on too long. It's gone on too long. We've had 10 years of this. 10 years of Tory rule. 10 years of cuts. 10 years of passing on the blame to other people. 10 years of dividing and ruling. 10 years of hurting disabled people and children and anyone who actually needs a break. There's time they were gone. Yes. So, Bristol, we just got how many days left, is it? How many? 3 more days? Is it 3? Yeah, well, I hope it's slightly less, but 3. I think we'll give it 3. 3 more days in which, yes, I'm afraid, it's been cold, it's been dark, it's been wet, but right now, the sun is shining. Sun is shining. And we need you to get out there again over the next 3 days and campaign to keep the seats we've got and take some more off the Tories. We want to take Felton and Bradley Stoke off Jack Preston. That man has to go. He has to go. Chris Skidmore has to go. We need to take these seats back. We need to take them. So, I want you all to give me one last sign of how hard you're going to work in the next 3 days so that we can get a Labour government by Friday, and then I'm going to hand over to the warm-up. From the warm-up to the warm-up to the warm-up, cheer for us one last time. How much do we need a Labour government? Thank you, Bristol. Marvin Rees. Marvin Rees.
Well, it's absolutely incredible to see so many people here. I think for me, on such a short turnaround, this is really a statement of hope here today. Think of waking up Friday morning as a city leader, as a person in local government, following 9 years of disinvestment in city leadership, 9 years of disinvesting in everyday people's lives and all the things that we have to do here, whether it be about supporting children in the care system, investing in young people's mental health, investing in our transport system to subsidise the bus networks that we don't yet own, that we might own one day. Whether we are supporting people in accommodation, supporting people with the changes we need in the private accommodation, but also building the thousands of council houses that we're pushing through at the moment. I can say that as a leader, when I first came in, one of the first things I was presented with was a piece of paper that says you need to save £103 million. In the face of a growing city with growing need, a national government squeezing local government and then rolling down responsibility onto the shoulders of local government, sitting in an ivory tower in Westminster, Whitehall, making statements, talking about taking tough decisions while being totally insulated from the consequences of the decisions that they're requiring us to make. Tough decisions aren't made on Excel sheets by fast streamers and people who are so distant from the challenges and the struggles of everyday life. Tough decisions that are rolled down onto the shoulders of some of the most vulnerable people in our society are made here, in the homes and in the communities of people in places like Bristol. And that is the reality check our national political system needs to get. And that is the reality check and the appreciation and the support we will get from a Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister of this country. I want to just share something else that's a bit deeper as well. So there is a statement I've read when I was a young person. It said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. If any of you have ever come across this. So strategy is the policies and the plans you put in place, right? And we don't want bad policy because people pay a price for that. People have died in this country over the last decade because of bad policy. But I'll tell you something else that is even more sinister for this than me, because you can kind of counter bad policy with some good policy. It's not the best way, right? We want good policy, but you can come back. But I'm much more concerned about the shift in the national culture that we are on the edge of. If we vote for someone who talks about people like me as having watermelon smiles, the people that talk about pickaninnies, have talked in such derogatory ways about people from LGBTQ plus community, if that gets endorsed, what the heck will that have released into our country? And the thing is, you can knock something out 1 degree, right? If you're looking at a sense of direction, you give something a little nudge and you knock it out of kilter 1 degree. But in 10 miles, you're 100 miles from where you should have been. And my concern is if we release this into the country on Thursday night, in 10 years' time, we'll be saying, how the heck did we end up with a country like this? And we'll look back to that foundational moment where we released something really insidious into this country. So what is at play is a collection of policies, but what is also at play is the culture of this country. And please, get out on the streets, let's get the vote out, and let's make sure the next government is the right one who will bring hope to this country.
I've been told that we may have been joined. So just let's get a sense before Marvin and I get off the stage for the main act. Who's come here from Filton and Bradley Stoke, who've been working so hard? Who's come here from North Somerset and wants to kick out Jacob Rees-Mogg? Who's come here from even further than that? Who's come from Bath? Anyone come from Bath? Great, kick him out. Who else has come? Oh, Weston-super-Mare. Anyone here from Weston-super-Mare? There's a contingent from Weston-super-Mare. Anyone here from Devon? Anyone come? Wow. And what about from Bristol? So can we have a Bristol cheer? Because I do believe I see movement to my right. And I think we're supposed to ad-lib at this point, Marvin. We're still ad-libbing at this point. So if you've got a bit cold, if you're thinking you need a bit of warming up, I've been jumping up and down on the spot, then I think I can recommend only one thing. Get out tonight and do some more leafleting. Get out tonight and do some more knocking on doors. Get out tomorrow and do some more knocking on doors. Go and find those Labour voters. Go and find those don't knows and see if we can persuade them to think again. Go and tell them what a rotten liar the Prime Minister is. Because he is. I have watched that man lie too many times, and it's really painful when you know that the lies he tells are hurting the people that we serve, the people whose lives we want to improve, the people who Marvin wants to build homes for right here in Bristol. What can we do with a Labour government? We could build so many more houses. We could put more money into special educational needs in our schools. That's why we need you, whether you've come from Gloucester or Bath or North Somerset or wherever you've come from. We need you out again tonight. There's no let up. And tomorrow and the day after.
And let me just say, there are Labour leaders, and we've talked with this about with the National Party as well. There are Labour leaders in cities right across this country. And one of the things we constantly point out is just what an uphill struggle it has been to be in charge of a local authority with this national government that not only are not supporting us, but actually in many ways in its policies are harming us. Not only are we having resources, staff from us we need, but we're having national policies that increase the need. Things like universal credit. Things like the failure to support people in our accommodation. That drives need into the system, that on the services that we then are ill-equipped to fund because of those shortages. In Bristol, I tell you what, they're taking money out of our children's centres across this country. Bristol's kept every single children's centre open in this country, right? Because we recognise that getting every child off to the best possible start in life is an evidence-based intervention for reducing health inequalities, increasing life chances. That's what we've done in Bristol. We kept our libraries open, right? Again, recognising in the face of a really challenging budget, what can we do to make sure that we protect our services? I can only just have that moment of almost dreaming. What would it be like to wake up on Friday morning with a government that says, we can see what you've done in the face of such adversity. Now we are here to stand with you, to partner with you, to invest in you and help you serve and deliver for the people which we have collective responsibility. Not seeing you as fodder, not seeing you as an excuse, not trying to scapegoat migrants, not trying to scapegoat people who don't look like us, which is going on in this country right now, but begin to invest and show what Labour can do with properly resourced local government. And that, I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is the message of hope that we need in this country right now.
Wake up on Friday to a Labour government that's going to build the living wage so it's a real living wage, that's going to give renters real rights, that's going to build council houses, that's going to build houses that we can actually afford to live in, that's going to scrap universal credit, that's going to sort out payments for disabled people that are really meaningful and not punitive, that hurt people, that's going to invest in mental health, that's going to give us what we actually need, what we actually care about. If that's what you want, get ready to put in 3 more days, a little bit more work, because you all know what it's worth. I want every single person here, some of you were too young to be waking up in 1997 to the feeling I had of knowing what it was like to wake up to a Labour government, and a Labour government that cared about me and my family and my neighbourhood. I want every single person here to know what that feels like. And I want you to feel it on Friday, weirdly the 13th. Unlucky for some, unlucky for Boris, I mean, that's what we should be. But it isn't luck. It isn't luck. He's made decisions. He's decided to make life harder. It wasn't an accident. He decided. He thought about it, and he goes, let's make life that bit harder. That's not what politicians are supposed to do. That's not what any of us are supposed to do. That's not what you are working for. We need a Prime Minister who's going to make life better for people and give hope to people and make sure that we can keep not just Bristol's libraries, but all libraries open. I'm getting a feeling of a cheer from over there.
See stuff over there.
So, I'm going to let Marvin do the final warm-up bit.
Well, not the final bit. But...
Yeah, we're nearly there.
And I'd say too, this country is not some public school boy joke, right? No. I mean, when I remember, just it's not laughter, lies are not stuff to be jovially laughed off as though it doesn't matter. But there's something else that's really important about this election as well. It is what goes on in our cities, it's what goes in our country, but it's about what's going on internationally as well. Let's not forget what's on the other side of the Atlantic. And let's not think about a Prime Minister that is lockstep with a president that was reluctant to step away from the endorsement of the Ku Klux Klan. And here we go. I don't think I need to say anything. Okay.
Hello, Bristol! Hello, the West Country! Hello, Labour supporters! Hello, those that are determined to elect a Labour government on Thursday. Fantastic to be here in Bristol. We're travelling around the whole country over the last few days of this campaign. We were in Wales yesterday, we're covering the southwest today, we're going to the Midlands, we're going to the northwest, we're going to Scotland, we're going to the northeast, we're going to the East Midlands, and we'll finish off in London, because we're a party with a message for the whole country. And that message for the whole country is quite simply this. There is a very, very, very clear choice before the people of this country on Thursday, and it's this: We've had 9 years of austerity in Britain. We've had 9 years of increasing gap between the richest and the poorest. We've had 9 years in which 150 people have become billionaires in Britain. We've had 9 years during which 4 million children are living in poverty. We've had 9 years when our local councils, our health service and so many other services are being cut to the bone by the meanness of a central government more interested in creating the wealth for the wealthiest rather than a sustainable living for the poorest. And this Christmas, 130,000 children across Britain will wake up on Christmas morning not knowing they have a safe, secure place to call their home for the rest of this year, never mind next year. That is the reality of what austerity has done to people all across this country. And there are thousands who are sleeping rough on the streets of this country. And when the UN says the consensus of the past, the welfare state of the past, has been replaced by a cold and uncaring ethos, they are dead right. When the UN condemns the process of austerity in modern Britain, the 5th richest country in the world, don't you think it's time to get rid of the government that brought that about? And so, our manifesto, carefully written, fully costed, will be put before the people of this country on Thursday, so that we can elect a government that is determined to start the process of changing things around, of looking after people all across Britain. And I am determined that we win that election to do that. We need to gain constituencies all over the country. So I'm delighted to be here in Bristol where there are gains to be made. All across the southwest, I was in Falmouth and Truro the week before last, supporting them. And I'm going up to the West Midlands today. And so, all across the country, basically the message is the same. Carry on with the Tories, and that's what you get. With Labour, you will get investment. You will get that sense of security for the future. And you'll get the protection of our National Health Service. When the Daily Mirror today shows this picture, I'll turn it round so everyone can see it, this picture of a 4-year-old boy suffering from pneumonia being treated on the floor of a hospital. And people ask questions about this, and I simply say this. The Tories have had 9 years to fund our NHS properly. It's time to bring their regime to an end and elect a Labour government that's determined to fund our NHS properly. But there's another threat to the NHS, a very big threat to the NHS, and that is the secret talks. The secret talks that have gone on for 2 years between the Tory government and the United States administration. Because Boris Johnson really wants a no-deal Brexit straight into the arms of Donald Trump and a trade deal with them. And it's very clear to me that trade deal with the United States, that trade deal would put all of our public services at risk into the hands of global corporations. And they would open up what they gently call our health market. Well, I've got news for them. There is no health market. We shut that down in 1948 when we established the National Health Service. Healthcare free at the point of need for all. Labour will offer people the choice over the relationship with Europe. But we will not be undercutting wages, ruining conditions, destroying workers' rights. We will instead be sensible, principled and responsible by bringing people together. And that is exactly what we will do. And I want us to say this about hopes for the future. I've spoken at rallies on this green before, and I've been delighted to stand alongside Marvin and many others in the campaign to win in Bristol and to win all across the country. Our young people have been so grievously treated by austerity and so grievously treated by this government. I want our schools to be properly funded. I don't want head teachers collecting money to keep the schools together. I don't want head teachers having to choose between a Senko and another job. I want the schools properly funded. And I want our young people to be able to make the choice of going to do a vocational course or an apprenticeship or go to university. But a choice, not a choice of how much debt they have to go into to go to university. So our manifesto makes it very clear, our National Education Service will properly fund education and will end student fees and adult education fees once and for all. And we will raise the tax necessary to do it, because our National Investment Bank will support every region of Britain with the infrastructure needs that it has. And give people some hope on housing, where so many are living in expensive, unregulated, private rented sector flats, spending so much on deposit to get one and not having the security of tenure when they're there. I want to lead a government that builds council houses, that builds 100,000 council homes a year, which begins the process of housing people properly and ending the disgrace of rough sleeping across our society. And so our election campaign comes almost to a close. But all of you, I say this, many people make up their minds in the last few days of the campaign. We'll be campaigning right up until 10 o'clock on Thursday night. We'll be taking that message out all over the country. The tens of thousands of Labour supporters and members that have been out door knocking and listening to people about their concerns. What comes back is people are either going to be frightened of the future under a Tory government with the continued cuts in public spending and all the divisions it creates in society, or a Labour government with the enthusiasm and popular support to carry through our manifesto, carry through our promises to deliver for the people of this country, and a government that on the world stage will be standing up for peace, for justice and for human rights. And the greatest issue that faces every one of us on this wonderful green here in Bristol, is actually the threat to our natural world and environment through global warming and climate change. I was at the Paris Climate Change Conference in 2015. It was, yes, a huge step forward, but not big enough and not determined enough. Under present trends, Britain won't reach net zero until 2099. The rest of the world, goodness knows when. Next year, COP26 will be held in Britain. I want to be there as a Labour Prime Minister hosting COP26. And my lifetime's determination to defend our natural world and our environment, and our manifesto, which promises a green industrial revolution so the jobs of the future help the sustainability of our natural world and our planet, and all the industries and all the skills that are here in Bristol, and all the determination of people all across the west of England and the far southwest to live in a sustainable world and protect the natural world, will be a combination of investment in sustainable transport, of electric buses, retrofitting homes so they use less energy, development of green energy projects, and the role that the public sector and public ownership can bring. But also things like broadband, which help to develop economies in a rural area and also are themselves sustainable. So I finish with this because I've got many, many places to go. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your support for Labour. Thank you for your determination to elect a Labour government, and thank you for the hope you give to so many. So on Thursday, vote for hope, vote for change.